January 29th, 1968, General Ojukwu announces the introduction of the new Biafran currencies and postage stamps in Owerri, in present-day Imo State. The Bank of Biafra, the central bank, carried out all central banking functions, including the administration of foreign exchange and the management of the public debt of the Republic of Biafra. The bank was administered by a governor and 4 directors. The first governor per signature on banknotes was Sylvester U. Ugo. The bank was first located in Enugu, but due to the ongoing war, the bank was relocated several times. Biafra attempted to finance the war through foreign exchange. After Nigeria announced their currency would no longer be legal tender to make way for a new currency, the effort increased. After the announcement of tons of Nigerian banknotes were transported in an effort to acquire foreign currency. The currency of Biafra had been the Nigerian pound until the Bank of Biafra started printing its own notes, the Biafran Pound. The first issue of the banknotes included only 5 shilling notes and 1 pound notes. The Bank of Nigeria exchanged only £30 for an individual and £300 for enterprises in the second half of 1968. In 1969, new notes were introduced: £10, £5, £1, 10 shillings and 5 shillings. It is estimated that a total of 115 to 140 million pounds, Biafra pounds, were in circulation by the end of the war, with a population of about 14 million. So that's about approximately £10 per person. Here was Ojukwu signing the Biafran notes. I think this was just symbolic before the notes went into circulation. He launched here and he signed them symbolically, and the notes were launched into circulation. Alright, so these are the notes. Can you see them? All of them? Alright, so let's look at them right now. Images of the Biafran pounds. So these are the coins: 3 pence, 6 pence, 1 shilling, 2.5 shilling, 1 crown, and 1 pound. 1 pound in coins. Okay, so the notes now. So you have 5 Biafran shillings. That's what it look like. This is the other side, the reverse side of the Biafran shillings. Alright, so this was what this one looks like. 5 shillings too. The reverse side. This was the second 5 shillings, the second note that was issued after the first one. Alright, so this is the 10 shillings. This is what it look like. Pretty clean notes. The design looks fine. Alright, so 1 Biafran Pound. This was issued in 1967. This was one of the first notes issued. One of the first notes issued. Alright, so this is the 1 Biafran Pound, the one that was issued later on after that first one. So yeah, so this is £5. Kind of like the design though. £5, the reverse side. So we're looking at £10 now. Nice design too. So the reverse side of the £10. Nice design too.
Biafran shilling note.
Alright, so we're going to hear somebody talk
it's really basic in its
about
design,
the notes
and you'll see
what
that the
this
3
means.
banknotes
So
that
listen.
I have for you today basically have the same imagery going all the way through them. However, for a country's first go at making currency after newly being formed, it's actually not that bad. I mean, okay, in terms of the sophistication of the security features, is abysmal really. There's hardly anything going on here. But you can see that we've got the denomination represented in the top left corner and the bottom left corner, and you can see that instead of actually having a watermark, we have the 5 shillings right here, and you'll see that it pokes through the reverse of the banknote, but there's no real watermark here, and there's no real security strip or anything. You've got this kind of like dotted line that goes through that's supposed to mimic a security strip, but it doesn't really do the job. You can see that the design is very, very simple. They haven't gone with any kind of iconography. They've just gone with things like the sun, which was the centerpiece of the Biafran flag. And the Biafran flag was basically a tri-coloured flag, starting with red at the top, black in the middle, and green at the bottom, with a rising yellow sun in the middle, which is this one here. So they did adopt that symbol from their flag and carry it into their banknotes. And obviously you have to remember that Nigeria is a former colony of the British Empire, and therefore Nigeria was using decimalisation, the British decimalisation. So the Biafrans carried on that into their currency with pounds, shillings and pence, but obviously in their own style. So if we spin it around and look at the back, you can see we've got some lovely Biafrans here enjoying liberation, I guess. So these are tribes people which represent the unique ethnic groups in Biafra. Basically the causes of the conflict were political, but also the conflict is along ethnic lines as well. You'll probably know that many countries in Africa are the creations of colonialism, and what you have is many different ethnic tribes that are perhaps not the best of friends being forced into one nation, and that's caused many conflicts in places like Rwanda and other countries across the African continent, and Nigeria is no different. So the Biafrans have had a long-standing distrust of the Nigerian state, and they did actually go to war with each other, which meant that the Biafrans were ultimately defeated and reabsorbed into Nigeria in the year of 1970. So that's why Biafra only lasted for 3 years. But these banknotes were produced in such quantities that you can actually still find them in collector communities right now, and some of them are really cheap actually. So the next one I'm going to show you is the 10 shillings, and I quite like this banknote. I think this is probably my favourite. And here it is. You can see it's a little bit better. It looks less like toilet paper. And I don't mean that to be offensive. I'm not trying to be offensive to these banknotes. But you've got to understand that when these countries become newly independent, especially these poor regions of the world, they can't create sophisticated banknotes. They just don't have the resources. However, you can see that they do want to break away, and they do want to have that economic independence by producing their own currency, which is admirable, and it was an admirable effort. But you can see again the sophistication, it just isn't there. You can see the 10 shillings poking through as a sort of security feature almost, but it's not a security feature, it's not a watermark. But you can see we've got the Biafran sun right there, and the palm tree, pretty much the same as the 5 shillings. If we spin it around and look at the back, you can see we've got some kind of refinery on the back, and that's it really. Again, infrastructure is a very popular thing to celebrate on African banknotes, and Biafra continued with that tradition. But really, really simple banknotes, but interesting nonetheless. I really do like these actually. So yeah, that's the next one. So the final one I actually have is the £1, the Biafran £1 note.
This one has sort of like a security thread, considering it was probably produced by a private company who actually didn't produce a lot of banknotes for other countries. So probably got Biafra. Everything's in English instead of Igbo, which is the dominant language there. So it's legal tender banknote. On the reverse, we just have the coat of arms: peace, unity, freedom. And as you can see, on the coat of arms, the palm tree is actually missing. And £1. And this one was only issued in 5 shillings and the £1 banknote. And because of, as you can see, it looks poor quality, has no watermark or anything. So these were replaced in 1969 by these ones.
A bit more interesting, a bit more imagery going on. It's not that bad actually, and you can see we've got the governor and the director But unfortunately they weren't around for very long, and you can see it's stylized very much like a Nigerian banknote of the time, but with its own flavour and its own colour scheme and these wonderful sort of spirally patterns that go through the banknote, which do actually make it look kind of interesting. So I would say of the three, even though this is the cheapest one to find, it's probably the most visually interesting, but for me I prefer the 10 shillings. I like that a little bit more, just for its colour really. If we spin it around and look at the back, you can see we've got the sigil of Biafra, the coat of arms, right here, and it says peace, unity and freedom. And you can see we've got the Bank of Biafra, which was established as a central bank of the new Biafran nation, and yeah, £1 along the bottom. Obviously continuing with that tradition of having their banknotes printed in English, following the Nigerian state, because like I said before, English is an official language, the official language of Nigeria, and was of Biafra because of that British colonial legacy. You can see the £1 poking through, which again looks like it might be a watermark, but it is not. It's just there, and you can see it won't make sense anyway because it will be backwards. So yeah, you can see they've tried, but it just hasn't really worked. But the reverse is actually quite appealing. Interesting banknote.